Oakland, California. The year is 1988. This is the beautiful Paramount Theater. It was destined to be torn down when the Oakland Symphony saved it to be used as a performing arts center. The theater was built in 1931. The architectural style is Art Deco. The Paramount seats over 3,000 people. It's located on Broadway at 20th Street. When the Symphony took over, the entire building and interior were restored to like-new condition. A Wurlitzer theater organ has been reinstalled, restoring the theater to its original condition. The Paramount now belongs to the city of Oakland. Tours of this theater are scheduled regularly. We are now in San Francisco at 9th and Market Streets. The building is the Fox Plaza, former site of the Fox Theater. Now, let's go back in time and see the fabulous Fox Theater. This is the magnificent San Francisco Fox Theater. The year is 1963, and the theater was in its last days. A sign on the side of the building once read, "The world's finest theater," also the world's largest theater organ. Well, that does a pretty complete job of describing the Fox, all right. It truly was an outstanding motion picture palace. It was built in the Baroque style of European castles. The Fox Theater cost $5 million to build, and little money was spared to make it a work of art. The marquee letters were all neon, and there was a carpet that went all the way to the street curb under the canopy. A number of fine theaters were on Market Street, but the Fox was the queen of them all. Including the rest of the United States, no movie theater built since 1929 was equal to the Fox. Many people seeing the Fox for the first time thought it was San Francisco's Opera House. We are now in the grand lobby, having passed through an outer lobby, and we are now facing the main staircase. The focal point of the grand lobby is the staircase. A close look at the palatial staircase starting at the second mezzanine, where a pipe organ entertained people waiting to enter the auditorium for their show. The first mezzanine, which was located at the top of the staircase, was the entrance to the diamond horseshoe boxes. Note the artwork at the top of the stairs, the fancy handrails, and the candelabras located at the foot of each handrail. And notice the rich red carpet on the stairs. This staircase was worthy of any found in a European castle. Looking up, we see the lobby pipe organ. This was a Moeller organ, which was a 3-manual 12-rank unit. Going up to the second mezzanine, we see the 2 main passenger elevators. The Fox had 4 elevators total. We see a painting above them and the organ console on the right. The organ pipes were in a chamber to the left behind the console. Here, looking down the staircase, with one of the 3 main chandeliers above and a good view of one of the candelabra fixtures. The doorway behind the staircase led to the main elevators in the lower ladies' lounge. A slight move and we get a new view of the upper area of the staircase. The hallway on the outside of the diamond horseshoe boxes. From the top of the main staircase, we look back towards the main entrance and we get a look at the 3 chandeliers. Also the 4 main entrance doors. There are 5 of the 16 columns visible that made up the lobby. This shows 4 of the columns with the archways they supported. Also much of the lavish design of these arches. Mirror work was quite extensive throughout the theater, and here we see one with the main chandelier in the reflection. Taking a look at the arches shows the fine detail. These were 3 stories high. Gold finish was used to make the work stand out, and draping was used to give it a plush finish. Notice the beautiful condition of the theater as shown in these scenes. The Fox was well maintained to the end. Here we see the actors' masks that were in each corner and arch of the lobby as a theatrical touch. Remember this mask. Later we'll see it again. This is a mask you'll long remember. Here we see how draping was used in the archways, draping with a proper sheen in its appearance. The candy counter was an important part of the movies in later years. The Fox had a king-sized one that was at the back wall of the lobby. This is one of the ladies' lounges. The room is large with artworks on the walls, a fireplace, and a large mirror. Here the ladies could check their makeup with adequate light to help them. In this room, we have a mirror in each arch setting reflecting a very nice chandelier and a recessed dome ceiling. It's time now to return to the grand lobby. From the top of the staircase, we once again see the beautiful chandeliers and mirrors. As we look to our right, we see the large columns and the doorways to the auditorium. We'll now go down on the main floor and proceed to enter the auditorium. From the entrance doors, we walk over the terrazzo floor, which was covered with a lavish embroidered rug when the theater opened. We enter a dark theater, to be welcomed by the mighty Fox Wurlitzer organ rising out of the orchestra pit. Let's take a close look at the organ. The Fox Theater's mighty Wurlitzer organ was a 4-manual, 36-rank, 349-stop console. There were only 5 of these organs ever built by Wurlitzer. Installation cost was $125,000 in 1929. The organ had 5 chambers. The foundation and main chambers were on the left front side of the auditorium. The solo, orchestral, and percussion chambers were located on the front and right side of the auditorium. The large 32-foot diaphone pipes were installed on top of the stage proscenium. There were over 2,500 pipes, and they ranged in size from 32 feet down to 1 inch. A 50-horsepower electric motor operated the organ blower to supply air for the pipes. The Wurlitzer theater organ could replace an entire orchestra and could also reproduce many sound effects for silent films. No 2 theater organs had the same sound because of the different ways the organ chambers were built into each theater and because of different acoustical conditions in each auditorium. From the Fox projection booth 200 feet back, the organ console looks very small. The Fox organ sound was very good. Many recordings were made by various artists over the years. A second console was kept backstage, which could be moved around and used when needed. Our organist is Everett Norris, who was the staff organist for the last 19 years of the theater. The last number ever played on the organ was to an empty theater for a radio broadcast made the day after the final show. Farewell to the Fox. The organ now is installed in a private home in Southern California. With the lights on, we can now look at the main auditorium. From where we came in, we see the right rear portion of the main floor, and under the balcony, some of the diamond horseshoe boxes. Moving up to look at the diamond horseshoe boxes, we get a much better view of them, and we see how the seating was arranged. These shots show the distinct pattern used for the seat covers, with the F in the center and the rich red color. Looking at the balcony, we start to feel the great size of the Fox. Notice there were 5 arches along the sidewall, also more of the diamond horseshoe under the balcony. Taking a close look at the first arch shows the amount of detail put into it. It looks new, doesn't it? There were cherubs on all the arches in the theater, and here are 2 of them. The right side of the auditorium was a repeat of the left side. You can see 3 chandeliers in this picture, and I'm sure by now you wonder how many seats the Fox had. Well, there were more than 4,600. And when you stand on stage center and look at the whole auditorium, there's no doubt how big it was. The beautiful center ceiling piece was 120 feet above the main floor and had 4 corner paintings called the 4 Seasons of the Year. This is the right side organ chamber. From the floor, it was over 4 stories high. As the organ pipes were divided into the left and right side, we had stereo sound already back in the 1920s. The gingerbread look wasn't overdone. You can see how well it all fit together to make the Fox what it was. We'll now go to the balcony to look at the left side organ chamber. From this point of view, you have a better look at the way the organ chamber was constructed. The left and right side were identical design. What we're now going to do is enter the chambers and look at some of the hundreds of pipes there and see how they were installed. It was very cramped back there. Organ enthusiast Jim Crank will now describe the pipes as we see them.
Most of the Wurlitzer organ's magnificent solo voices were installed in two chambers on the right-hand side of the proscenium arch, the orchestral and the solo. Shown here is the tibia clausa, the wooden pipes with the stoppers poking out of their tops, and the powerful tuba mirabilis, the single loudest reed in the organ. The base of the tibia clausa in the solo chamber up above, and the very interesting brass saxophone shown here right behind the shutters of the organ. Since the Wurlitzer's pipes only played at one volume, this is the means of varying the sound level in the theater. These pneumatically operated shutters. And two of the regulators that control air pressure to the pipes in the chests above them, and one of the two marimba harps installed on this mighty Wurlitzer.
The Fox Theater stage was 64 feet wide. Here's how it looked from the projection booth 200 feet away. Now it's time to leave the theater and go out on Market Street. We'll leave through the front doors and look at the marquee. This is the last time the lights and neon will be on for a show. Yes, some of the neon doesn't work, but it still looks good. The last show was put on by the Peninsula Volunteers. It was early evening, and we'll come back later when the crowds are arriving. It's difficult for us to take this last look. This is what the newsreel showed for the last night of the Fox. There had been a couple of days spent getting the theater ready for the last show. Most of this film was in black and white. The red carpet is rolled out for the stars, special guests, and for the dignitaries. As showtime arrived, there were crowds in front of the theater. The police tried to keep a walkway clear. As the crowds watched, many beautiful classic cars, including Rolls-Royces, arrived and dropped off their passengers. Many stars from Hollywood came to wish the Fox farewell, just as 33 years earlier stars had come to open the theater. There would be 5,000 people in the theater tonight, and it would be a very enjoyable evening for all. Models came with Cleopatra costumes on. Jane Russell arrives with her husband, Bob Waterfield. Also, Lois Moran, one of the stars of the first feature shown in 1929. Now let's go in with everyone else and join the crowd. We're in the projection room, and here Dick Bartell is running the last film. We even had visitors in the booth. The film was Hollywood, the Fabulous Era, a film made for television. When the film ended, the stage show started. The chorus lineup, known as the PVettes, doing a Radio City Rockettes type number. Not bad for a first try. These 26 women were all local volunteers, mostly Bay Area housewives. Here again is Lois Moran taking a bow. Here, models show the Elizabeth Taylor Cleopatra costumes from the film of the same name. The final act concludes when the stage is cleared except for one work light and one stagehand, who turns off the light to end the show. The audience was invited to come up on the stage and dance till 2 in the morning. Later that same morning, following the show, all the projection and sound equipment started to come out of the Fox, while others started removing the organ. Here we see workers taking parts of the organ out the main stage door. The new owner was given 10 days in which to remove the organ in place of the 5 weeks he'd been promised. A small crowd was on hand to watch the official start of demolition by a crane with a gold-painted wrecking ball. The press was present. We don't understand the reason for the tassels and the 3 young ladies for such a sad event. Maybe it was because demolition would start with the ladies' lounge. The theater was offered to the city of San Francisco for $1,050,000, but under the leadership of Mayor George Christopher, turned it down. A tremendous loss to San Francisco. Here, the wrecker starts his job on the Fox. Demolition took almost 6 months, and the wrecker claimed to have lost money on the job. Look what San Francisco lost. Next to go was the projection booth and grand lobby. This is what's left of the once beautiful grand lobby. Here is the grand staircase. This shot shows the upper balcony and the auditorium ceiling from a large hole made into the upper balcony. We can also see the right side wall of the inside auditorium. A glimpse of the beautiful ceiling piece. Here, as the crane knocks out the upper parts of the lobby, we see one of the actors' masks and the work of many artists being destroyed. A close-up of the mask and the sad, pleading look it seems to have. The main lobby and the auditorium are now gone. All that's left is the front of the theater on our left and the stage area with offices on the top of the stage. The stage was torn down next, leaving only the front of the theater standing to the very end. To leave the front standing during the process of tearing down the rest of the theater made the act of passing the place a painful ordeal. One of the last roof beams. Here at the end stands the theater front, still a reminder of the greatness that was the Fox. It resisted the iron ball to the very end. A few years later, to beautify Market Street, San Francisco made all the movie palaces tear off their front marquees and signs. At least the Fox didn't have to suffer this indignity. The end came on August 12, 1963, sometime around midnight. This was after the wreckers worked all day trying to pull it down. Now was the time for the Fox to take its last bow. The mighty Fox Wurlitzer will now give San Francisco a final salute. As the organ lowers into the pit, we hear the last sounds from the Fox Theater.